you. Hi and welcome.
Oh, hold on, Robin. Hold on. I want to get on Facebook.
Well, hi and welcome to you guys then.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Robin, well, I'm having some technical issues. I'll chat with Olivia offline. Why don't you go ahead and get started, though?
Okay, thank you, Justin. Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday, and this is coping in the COVID world, the new normal. But what we're going to talk about tonight is coping with anything that's going on. And right here, right now in Mono County, we've got coping with the creek fire, and we have coping with drought, and we have coping with COVID. I'm sure there's some kind of little ringy way we could talk about that, but we were going to start off with some breathing exercises and decided that we'd just jump right in. Sheriff Braun looks like she's with us right now. She's on a call right now, but she'll be back with us as soon as she's finished with that call. I'm guessing Supervisor Corliss is probably on that call as well, and she will be joining us a little bit later. So what we wanted to start with is, how do you cope with everything that's happening right now? And we don't have any answers, so we'll just start off with that disclaimer. Hey, Stacy. But we wanted to talk together about how we're doing and talk with Beth Cohen, who's an expert on managing trauma and is learning a lot by the seat of her pants, just like we are, about how to deal with all these traumas all at once. So I don't know, Beth, you want to start a little bit? Talk.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. You know, I wish, Robin, like you're saying, that there was some sort of a formula that we could just provide, and we would all not only feel better, but we would all feel safe, and we would be safe. And unfortunately, it's not happening, and that is not our reality presently. But what I can tell you, and certainly from people that I've been talking to lately, is that the stressors are starting to exceed people's capacity to tolerate them, the different stresses that are going on. And if you're noticing that, please note, not only are you not alone, but this is really a time for us all to figure out, while we are becoming, or we are going into the negative around some of our resilience, this is really a time for us to figure out, how is it that, what do we need? What do we need to do for just ourselves or our family to try to add some stuff over to the positive side? It's amazing to me as the weeks are going on, and I'm doing this work all over the nation, and how exhausted everyone is and how incredibly spent. And now, of course, we're having these additional, what I would consider devastating experiences, or potentially devastating experiences, that are adding to that side. I'm eager to hear what people have to say tonight, Robin, and where they are at.
Yeah, so let's just say that for those of you that are participating on Zoom, we have a Q&A. If you look somewhere on your computer screen, you'll see a Q and an A. If you want to type in questions, comments, thoughts in there, you can do it. You can do it anonymously or not. You can use the telephone and call us, and we will also be able to talk to you live in person, or you can make comments on our Facebook page at Mono County Behavioral Health on Facebook, and include yourself in this conversation. We would love to hear from you tonight. I don't know, Stacy, Cassandra, Stephanie, would you like to step in and say how you're doing?
This fire stuff is hard, you guys. It's really hard. The air quality in Mammoth and the Mono Basin particularly is toxic. It hasn't gotten out of the hazardous level for a couple of days. Maybe it'll pop out, you know, to only very unhealthy levels. So for me, in dealing with COVID and work, my outlet is always to go outside and to exercise and to walk my dog. You can't right now. You can't go outside at all. And, you know, there's so much anxiety in Mammoth Lakes right now. People are probably way too afraid, more afraid than they need to be, that the Creek Fire is going to cross the Sierra Nevada and come to Mammoth. Now, 10 years ago, that would have been something that fire managers would have laughed in your face if you had said to them, I'm worried that this fire is going to come over the crest of the Sierra Nevada mountains and cross granite peaks and land here. But now you can tell kind of they want to say that, but they can't, because all bets are off because of climate change and conditions on the ground and just the unprecedented times that we're in. So it's, I mean, this is really, really hard.
Yeah. I'd like to say that I'm not on the inside circle of the fire arrangements, but I work for the county. And so as a worker for the county, I'm working with the emergency response team. And I can say that we are completely ready should an evacuation have to happen. Hold on. There's something going on in the chat box that I don't understand. Can somebody help me? Because I can't read and talk at the same time. At any rate, what we have right now in the county is like everything we could possibly need in place if there were to needs to be an evacuation. And so I think everybody can be really assured by that. I mean, I think right now what you're talking about, Beth, is trying to find some level of safety.
Yes.
In what we're dealing with right now. And there is a floor right now that we're not falling through the floor. We're not falling through space. The county and everybody else has done a really, really great job with any type of evacuation that might be happening. They're being completely transparent with all the information that we might need. And so that you can know where to get information. I think the most important thing we can do right now is rely on the service that we have through the information that we have, so that we're not passing rumors around. Because I, got some phone calls today. I've got people that I'm working with that are really worried about something that they saw on Facebook that isn't actually accurate. And there is accurate information out there. Your community and your emergency workers want every single person to be safe. And so there are definite tiers of decision-making that is happening right now. And since you know that you haven't been alerted that we're in an evacuation, we're not in an evacuation right now. And so,
yeah, no, the fire is really far away. That's what I want to make that incredibly clear. The fire is very far away. I personally couldn't imagine, but that we even are thinking about it is just like this bigger issue of things beyond our, and of course, Ron talked a lot about this at a fire meeting last night. Everything is set. We're safe right now, but it's just scary. But other people, all over the state for the last few weeks. I mean, Justin's in the Sacramento area. You guys have been breathing hazardous air. Same thing. It's very unsettling and kind of makes you worried. Like, well, what's next? You don't even know.
Yeah,
there's nowhere to go, really.
Here outside of Sacramento, we're finally starting to see some blue skies just today, but it's been about 10 days.
Oh.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, as you guys are experiencing as well, the ash just falling from the sky and just unbelievable colors in the sky in the evenings, and just unable to leave the house or outdoors. And I think that, of course, having the added, concern of being in a location like you guys all are at this point is where I think a lot of the concern is being driven. But yeah, I think it's how much can we pile on to ourselves in 2020, right?
Can I also add the importance of information and how information can help manage anxiety during times like this? I mean, Robin, I'm really glad you mentioned that trusted sources, right? What are the trusted sources that our community can go to gain the information that will be not only most updated, but also most credible? And I think that that's a big piece that can allow people to at least although it's not good air, at least inside their homes, breathe a little bit and allow themselves to, you know, to relax just a little if they're able.
Well, and Beth, to your point, 1,200, more than 1,200 people joined our webinar last night for the update.
Yeah, so they're looking for the information, Justin, and that's what we do, right? I mean, that's what helps us, and also, you know, there needs to be obviously planning and you know, and plan A and what I call plan B and maybe even plan C, so that people also can feel like they themselves, as they're getting the information, are feeling as prepared as they can be.
And I think, yeah, to that point, just like Supervisor Corliss just referenced, that's getting ahead of it, like the county and the town have done, is so fantastic because it provides that sense of security by a plan, you know, is in place for an event that is very unlikely to occur. Yes.
Yeah, and I think if you live here, you hold your breath during fire season anyway, a little bit, which fire is kind of all the time until if we get really good snow on the ground. And so, like you're saying, Stacy, you know, my sense of isolation has increased hugely over the last couple of days because I can't really even go outside. I mean, I really am stuck inside my house. And that's a really different way of dealing with it. And then, I mean, I really want to go out to breathe because I want to calm myself down, but then there's ash in the air. And then where would I go because of COVID? I can't like go somewhere else to just get out of my house and go somewhere else and be inside. So it's a lot of layers right now. Cassandra and Stephanie, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, you know, I can really speak to the fear part because we went through it a couple weeks ago up here in North County, and I mean, we could literally see the flames on the crest. So I mean, it was in our backyard. So I can definitely speak to the fear and the unknown, and you know, searching Facebook and any sort of outlet for any information that we could be updated for the fire. And, you know, you talk about being prepared, you talk about, you know, packing your stuff and, you know, what you're going to pack, but until you really have to do it, you know, you really start thinking like, what do I really need? You know, especially having little kids, you know, blankets, snacks, and where are we going to go? Where are we going to head? We really had to get into planning mode. And what Beth said, I'm a planner, so I have to have plan A, plan B, and plan C just in case. And as far as the smoke goes, you know, I was thinking last week and I'm like, hey, we should get out of here. But I'm like, if I head south, there's fires down there. If I head to Nevada, there's smoke out there. So it just seems to be all around us. Like we almost can't get away from it.
I wonder if to some extent a distraction, you know, away from COVID at this point, a little bit, it was, is healthy.
Is that a rhetorical question or?
Kind of. And I think it's interesting because, you know, there's just been, you know, the intense focus and the intensity of COVID for 6 months, as we've all, you know, been talking about, the ups, the downs, the stress, the clenched jaws, you know, to maybe shift that focus to another, you know, tragedy, but something else that's happening. You know, I don't know. That there will be an end to.
You know, it's like you mentioned, like a distraction. I was actually just talking to a good friend of mine who asked me how the fires are going up here and stuff like that. If we were in danger, you know, they're offering my home, you know, I mean, sorry, they're offering their home, you know, for me to go down south too and stuff. And I was mentioning, I was like, you know, now with the fire and the smoke and can't do much, like I kind of sort of forgot about COVID and why I'm, you know, I'm indoors, like still working at home and, or stuff like that, you know, like people, you know, I guess it's like more normal seeing now a lot more people with masks on just due to also like the air quality and stuff like that. So we were just pointing out, you know, I was just like, yeah, I went out shopping and like, you know, you just see like, it's it's like an apocalypse scene. It's like a scary movie, you know? You're just out there like, we haven't seen blue skies in a while. So it's, you know, personally, I felt a lot more tired just because I do need sunshine. And like Stacy said, you know, sometimes, you know, our escape is going outside and, you know, forgetting what, you know, what it is to be working through a pandemic. And I was like, well, now going outside, I'm like, great, now I got to worry about, you know, the air quality I'm breathing in, and, you know, and think about the, you know, my family, you know, my elders, you know, who have trouble breathing. And I was like, well, this has been a distraction for us, you know, of COVID. So I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking about that earlier.
Well, and the mask thing, yeah, isn't that interesting? That it's, I mean, now, you know, the smoke and the ash is tangible. So you can see it, you can feel it, and you know,
It's
whereas,
not invisible.
yeah, and so now the masks are, it's a whole different sort of perspective.
Just want to remind people you're tuned into Coping with COVID. We're also talking about coping in general. If you're on the Zoom platform, there's a Q&A box down there. You can type in your questions or your comments and join our conversation if you have anything you want us to focus on or just want to talk about how you're doing. We're also on Facebook at Facebook Live at the Mono County Behavioral Health page. That's such a mouthful. We come here every other week. We're coming to you talking about how we're doing with COVID and how we're coping, but now also any kind of coping, really, we'll put it all in the same box. And the next one that we'll be doing will be on October 30th. And we're really glad that you're here tonight. So please do participate, Q&A or through Facebook.
I think some of the difficulty with coping with the added stuff, Justin, like you were saying, right, is on one hand, it's a distraction, but on the other hand, people are so exhausted from having to sort of be vigilant. And the irony, I do think it's an irony, because I am now going out and wearing a mask is becoming unremarkable. I don't know if anybody has experienced that, but you know, I mean, I have it on sometimes. I was at the doctor the other day. I mean, I think it was on for an hour and a half. And I was like, you know, and it was unremarkable. I was glad to take it off once I got into my car, but nonetheless, how I would have experienced it a month, 2-3 months ago, it was different. But the difficulty or the fear that I have is the level of exhaustion. And, you know, eventually what we end up with is sort of this level of exhaustion where we can really not even take anything as seriously, you know, or we don't know what to view at one time, like what you view, you know, what you deal with at the time. So it's a lot.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Beth. I was years and years ago, I used to work at a hospital. And so it was required that for flu season, you either take a flu shot, or if you opted not to take a flu shot, you had to wear a mask the entire flu season. And I said, there is no way I could, you know, ever last a whole flu season with a mask. And now it's such a norm, right? It's almost becoming second nature to just, okay, mask, you know. So that I've noticed that it has been a lot easier to just, you know, it's almost becoming second nature to us. And, you know, what you were mentioning about, yeah, you do become exhausted. You're like, what now? Can 2020 please be over now, please?
But isn't it interesting how adaptive we are as human beings? I'm always fascinated by that. That what seemed like so problematic now compared to some of the other concerns is really sort of, you know, not as important, right? And so it's unfortunately, I think during these circumstances, so what do we prioritize, right? I mean, there's something else potentially that can be a problem. Also, you guys are, because I'm in Orange County and we're still outside. We're allowed to go out. We have had some beautiful pink and orange suns. So I know what you mean, Justin, but we are out and I'm feeling really, what you were saying, Stacey, is what so many people have been expressing to me is in the last couple of weeks is now I can't even do the things that I usually do to maintain my resilience, which is going out, it's exercising, and it's whatever you guys would do. I mean, you guys have this beautiful, you know, beautiful location that you live in. Just nature itself is healing. And now having to trade that out with something else. I don't know if you guys are already trading it out with something else so that you can still allow yourself to build some positive sides from the negative.
I think our forests are closed also. So even if we could go out, where we can go is really limited compared to what we might be used to. And this is the time of year when a lot of locals will look forward to just there's fewer people in town. So you can go to some places that you might not normally go to if there's a lot of people. And now we can't go anywhere. And I feel like everybody, the amazing thing to me about, and sorry, my dogs are playing, they're bored out of their minds as well. The interesting thing about being in a small community like this is, our businesses are taking yet another hit, and that, the tension and the pressure and the worry and concern about that is, it's palpable. And we worry, I feel worried and concerned for them. And at the same time, this seems like it's been easier for us to rally around and closing the forests around fire danger, for good reason. And then COVID is kind of in the back seat, but also I think as communities of humans, we haven't done a great job with it. And so we've made it this divisive thing where you either believe it or you don't, and you can't see it. So what do you think? And to me, it's like, I was at the post office and I could smell somebody's perfume. And I thought, well, if that were, that would be COVID, right? If I can smell it, then I'm in its aerosolization to be able to. And I started wondering, I'm not a scientist, but I like to pretend like I'm one. And so I was like wondering about it, and now smoke is everywhere. I think that once this part of our lives is done with and the smoke is gone, all of our clothes and everything's going to smell like smoke. And I realized like, oh, we've been in a barbecue for the last, couple of weeks. And, I just really want people to be safe, and I want people to feel connected to other people. That's so important. And so, really a shout out to the workers and to the businesses and to all of us that we're, again, having to talk to each other about a disaster. And I don't know about you guys, it's getting old for me. I could tell you that I'm not exhausted. I don't feel particularly exhausted right now, but I do feel numb. And I feel a little bit like I was like the other day thinking, I haven't felt like this exactly since I was in junior high school. And that's not really a good sign for me. That wasn't my favorite time. So, but it's just a way that my body feels like a little checked out, definitely isolated, really having to reach to make connections with people and making myself do those things, which is important. And it's not quite as satisfying as it was before.
I think one of the things that I've noticed is I just have a lower tolerance for everything and anything, right? Whatever it is, it's like there's fires going on, or there's people that are actually losing their homes, on the flip side though, on the positive side, I will say that, dealing with the pandemic and everything that we've dealt with this year, it does kind of make you reflect upon, your life and just being thankful, right? Just being thankful for being healthy, being thankful for, having health. Hey, we still have our home, the fire didn't come, really close to us, just those little things. And one of the things that we noticed up here was, when the fire was really close and Walker got evacuated, how community members just, were offering left and right, if you have animals or, we had so many people reach out to us and offer us places to stay that it's just really nice, in the middle of a crisis. It's just nice to know that there's people reaching out to you and lending you their hand. So there is some positive in all this. At least I like to think.
Yeah, it's so interesting you both bring that up, because I was thinking that a couple days ago. My thoughts were, there's a common enemy right now. There's this common fight that's bringing everybody together, and we're not seeing that with COVID. And so, maybe a little bit of this community action will, rub off as we continue to battle COVID into the winter.
You know, and it's interesting because if you look at the research, with disasters, unlike COVID, and Robin, you said it really well, like all of anyone who's like myself as a trauma psychologist, we're in new territory because we can't get to the post-trauma response, right? I mean, we're stuck in the trauma response, essentially, is what we would call it. But I have seen the most beautiful examples of altruism during disasters and heroics and that sort of thing. I mean, it really is, for me, I've always thought, wow, this is what I always thought humans really, who they are, who we are, you know, and it's really true when you say that, Stephanie. People will go above and beyond, right, during these times. And I think that's part of the disappointment on some level that people are experiencing around the divisiveness of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, because that in itself has not been as front and center as certainly I'm used to when I've been assisting with disasters and recovery. It's kind of weird, isn't it, if you think about it? Because on some level, it could be a little healing. I don't know. It's really.
Yeah. So we have a question and answer. If you're tuned in to the coping and with COVID and creek fires and everything that start with C, we have a little question and answer box that you can type a question into or a comment. We would love to have the interaction with the people that are with us here on Zoom. And if you're listening via Facebook Live on the Mono County Behavioral Health page, at the same time, we simulcast, then you can put comments in there as well. Justin's moderating all of that to bring your voice to this conversation, and we would love to hear from you. How are you doing as an elected official, Stacey Corliss, in the middle of this all the time?
Well, we're actually getting things done at the board. All the usual business goes on during all this. It's kind of comforting, to have it on and, approve things like CARES Act funding. There'll be money going out to local businesses. We're approving a new program for people who either need to quarantine because they've gotten COVID or they have to isolate, they've been ordered to isolate, that if they don't have health insurance, they don't have benefits, that we could give them some money to follow the health orders. So things like that are really encouraging. There's all these there's a fish and game fine fund. So when people, poach while they're hunting or do think they get fined, it goes into this pot of money that we spend locally. So we approved $5,000 to go toward trash cleanup efforts around fish and wildlife habitat. And then there's this awesome new group called the Sierra Trash Eliminators. And it's all these people who are going around and picking up trash, left behind from visitors, whatever. It's a problem, not just in our area, but in public lands across the country. But wow, these people just rallied, formed this group, and then now the county's able to support their efforts with some funding for these cleanups, to pay for dumpsters and trash grabbers or what you will, to have these volunteers go out and do it. So, it's tough, but there are also some really good things happening, and that's kind of to me, a real highlight of being an elected official in local government, when you're able to help move things in the right direction, maybe be a catalyst for good positive change. And I feel like we get to do that sometimes.
We have a really interesting comment on Facebook from Judith Jimenez, which this is a term, I think she puts it perfectly. She says, "I feel like I'm doubly sequestered when I haven't yet learned to live by wearing my mask and keeping distance. Now I can't do my regular walks. I have to be inside. My head hurts and my anxiety is up. No bueno." But the doubly sequestered, isn't that a good description?
That is right. That is good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judith.
But it's a real thing. And the other thing, I mean, it really, if you're sensitive at all to smoke, it also, like, I just, I can feel my skin burning and my lungs, swelling up, and I'm on medication. I'm on a steroid to stop it, but I could feel it happening. I think if I wasn't on it, my face would super red and scary, and you guys wouldn't want me on the panel with you, but.
Yeah, I mean, the physical effects, right, of the dailiness of, even if you're inside as much as you can possibly be, it's still with you.
Yeah, I
Coping
realized
with smoke.
that the amount of time, we spend on, on the computer, one of my eyes started twitching. And then now both of my eyes are like, closing up because of the smoke, and I can feel it. I wear contacts, so, I get that dry, like, vision real quick, but definitely the physical effects of the fire, the smoke and stuff like that is getting to me.
So I do have a question for you guys. Is there anything new that you guys are trying? Like, since we can't, it's really unhealthy to be outside. Is there anything new? Any suggestions, any ideas?
Well, I do these online, I think I've mentioned this before, it's an online program where they have everything, stretching, yoga, fitness stuff. So I've really doubled up on that, but it's also because it's real people. It's not just a recording. It's also a way to connect with people that I wouldn't, even though I'm just seeing their name, or we're like, it's on Zoom. So you're just still in your little box doing yoga or whatever you're doing, but at least you get to see them.
And it's live.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, a similar resource, I think we've talked about this before, is something called Mindful Leader for anyone that's interested in also live doing a mindfulness meditation. There is someone that in each class, it's every hour on the hour, 24 hours a day. So sometimes when you're on, depending on what time it is, you're on with people from all different countries. It's really quite amazing, actually. And again, if you don't have to have your video on, if you're not like in your pajamas, but if, and it doesn't matter, but the first 15 minutes, it's 30 minutes long, every hour on the hour. And you just sign up and you go to mindfulleader.org. And there's no charge to it, but very similar Stacy, when you were saying, right, you get to at least be in the company of people while you're doing the practice. So it's nice.
Oh, look, we have another great suggestion on Facebook Live for art and wine classes. So it's an art class you do, and that's the same thing. You're live with other people participating with a local artist. So that's there are a lot of classes like that. And well, and of course, behavioral health, you guys are doing your daily Facebook Lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we took, the community asked for us to do some meditation and breathing and stretching exercises that you could do at home and that also are good for kids. So we've been posting those up for everybody to pass along. But to answer your question, Stephanie, I'm taking naps. Like today, I thought I took I woke up and I was like, oh man, I hope I didn't miss a meeting. I was only asleep for 8 minutes. And also just really, trying to connect with friends and colleagues as much as possible. I really look forward, we meet with the behavioral health staff every morning, and I look forward to those a lot, just to see the same people and to see how everybody's doing and checking in. And I, have certain things I do with family members and friends, and the connection piece to being a human is huge. And, but it does take some effort. And then it, again, I'm trying to figure out ways of really feeling it through the screen as much as I can.
We started doing, because like I said, we've had really poor air quality for about the last 10 days. We were talking about earlier in this call, we were talking about planning, and we have realized, I think finally, that this may be going on a little longer than we thought. So we even started just yesterday, sent an email to our family, really to get ahead of Christmas and Thanksgiving, and just said, we don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable, or, what is everyone's, comfort level in terms of what we're going to do over the holidays, because we want to make sure that, our kids have missed out on a lot this year. And so we want to figure out ahead of time to plan to do something, one way or the other. And what that looks like and who's involved. We want to be respectful of that. So we started doing that and planning out some things for the kids more long-term that are within public health protocols sort of activities that we didn't think we would, necessarily need to do, Stephanie. So that's kind of what we've been doing while we've been staying indoors, trying to get organized a little bit better, I guess.
We've been having fun off of that, Justin. We've been having fun planning our next vacations, which, by the way, we have decided are probably going to be in 2022. But nonetheless, we have been really having fun with that. And and my daughter, it's probably the most animated she becomes because she's 20 years old, stuck doing college, losing the college experience, most of it, and stuck doing it online. And it's become one of our favorite conversations, and then we do some research on it, we look at it, and then of course, then we come up with another idea.
Yeah, that is a great idea, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it allows, I know for me, it started to feel like, wow, this will end, and right. And we will have an opportunity to go back to some level of normalcy, even if it's different, right? So that why can't we plan?
Yeah.
It's just, we're not planning like we would for maybe 6 months from now. We're planning for longer than that.
I just want to remind people that you're tuned in to Coping with COVID and the Fire, here with Mono County residents mostly. And for Mono County Behavioral Health, we have through our Facebook Live or Facebook page, you can participate in this live as well. We're looking at your comments. We're happy to have interaction with you through the Zoom if you're here, through the question and answer part of the Zoom. And we just really want this to be a community conversation as much as possible. We meet every other week, so the next time will be October 30th. And it's just something that we all enjoy hanging out together and with you, but also with each other, talking about how we're doing basically, and just hoping to, at the very least, to normalize everybody's experience, that we're a little bit all over the map, but we're all on the same map. Also to remind you that last night there was an event that the town and Mono County and Fire Department put together around the creek fire. You can check out monocounty.ca.gov. If you go to the picture of a fire and click on that, it will take you to the page, and it has all kinds of updated information. We really want to stress that we're not in danger at this moment, but we are very prepared should we become so. You can count on your county leaders that they're continuing, and at this moment, even working on any kind of plans or plans for evacuation should we end up in that situation. If you listen in on what happened last night, you'll get lots of information about what that looks like. All the planning down to the details. So you can know that you're in good hands. It's really, really important that you check out proper and pass along good information, not weird information, so that we can kind of keep everybody on the same page, make sure that people feel as safe as possible, and not add to rumors so that then different elected officials have to manage those as well. But you are in good hands. We can feel safe right now.
Well, I just want to add, so talking, because we have a question in the Q&A, like, when is the fire going to get contained? And so there's a lot of information out there. So on this fire, it's amazing that the technology and transparency that's out there. You can go, there are websites to, you can go and you can see it has, I don't know how you say it, GOES-17 radar, and it shows you the little hot spots on a fire. So there's a tremendous amount of information out there. The fire managers, they're over in Madera and Fresno County. We're close as the crow flies, but we got a giant range of mountains in between us. Those of us that like to backpack and hike, I walk back and forth a lot. I know the mayor of Mammoth, Bill Salzer, he grew up here, so he talks about that a lot. Like, I walked up and down there. He's not that worried about it because he's walked up and down there a lot. But, you can really freak yourself out too, looking at all that information. So I think another coping technique, you have to put yourself on timeout sometimes. Like Rob, follow the official information, but you can freak yourself right out watching their videos from the fire managers, and have a fire speak that I don't really understand all of it. I always get nosy and ask them to translate it for me. but you can, because they'll say something like, well, the fire burned around Mount Tom. Holy smokes, we have a Mount Tom right outside of Bishop. Is Bishop going to be evacuated? No, guess what? It's a different Mount Tom. And guess what? There's a different Rock Creek. There's fish. There's all these super common mountain featuring names. So you can really scare yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line. So sometimes you have to back off and before I post this on Facebook or share it, let me go to this Mono County site and see if they have anything to say about it. Let me just, turn this off and like listen to music for a minute or do a quick breathing exercise, something, because you can, and I'm saying this, I do this myself. I caught myself staying up till like 11:30 looking at the different fire heat. And then I'm like, oh, I remember that trail. And then I start getting sad that maybe these beautiful places are going to burn down. It's like, okay, no, done, timeout. My dog put me on a timeout. She's like, nope, you're done. Go to bed.
That's a good dog.
What you're saying, Stacy, I think is really, really important. First of all, the power of distraction is quite amazing. The power to me of distraction is it allows us to, even if we get to forget for a little bit, it allows our body to relax and it allows our mind to have a break, right? So it's so vitally important. And also it's okay for us, I believe, to be able to have rules around it. Okay, I'm going to give myself 20 minutes to be freaking out, and then I'm going to get up and I'm going to do what I need to do for my day. Right? I mean, so for us to actually create anchors around our own anxiety, and part of that is giving ourselves time, like to read everything if we need, and then get up and move. And I'm glad your dog does that too. That's pretty impressive, actually. I want the secret to that.
Yeah, I think, maybe we could talk about what makes you feel normal in your day. Are there certain things that you do that you think, okay, like brushing my teeth, I do it at certain times. Probably, I don't keep track of it or time it, but I think I probably do it around the same time every day. And one of the reasons I know that is because I'm noticing the change in the light, even through the smoke. Like in the morning, it's darker, and in the night, it's darker. It's like, oh, it's, like those are just certain things about being an animal, human animal, where I'm kind of checking, and the leaves are starting to change on some of the trees down here where I live, and on some of the shrubbery down here where I live. And I think, oh, right, we're getting close to fall. And those kinds of things make me feel, just, I don't know, for lack of a better way to say it, just a little bit more normalized. Like these are just, like I remember it from last year, and last year it's part of nature. It happens all the time. I brush my teeth twice a day, so I remember that. It's just ways that we can feel regular and normal in our day. And they're important things that we're doing in spite of the fact that we've got all this other stuff going on. Hey, Ingrid.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're talking about the fire, and the only thing we haven't covered so far tonight are baked goods.
Oh.
To add in whatever you have to add in.
I have not baked anything since those pumpkin donuts that I made over the weekend. I took my pumpkin cookie recipe and I put them in the donut pan, and they turned out just right. I was really happy with those.
Mm-hmm.
A couple people on here might have taste tested them. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe or maybe not ate them all in one day.
Oh, wow.
All right, you got your yoga and stretching in. So.
Anything you want to add to what we're talking about tonight, or we're telling people that they can trust their local officials, that we're in good hands, that to make sure that if we're passing around information about.
So yeah, I was just on a call with our local Forest Service people, fire chief, the Creek Fire people, talking about what's going on with the fire, projections of where things are going to go, and we have what we call management action points, where we make decisions. Okay, if the fire reaches this point, then what do we do? If it reaches this point, then what do we do? So we're talking about that, and we talked, Pancho, who's the acting forest supervisor for the Inyo. I really like him. He and I both agreed that we will be completely transparent with the public about what's going on, so that if they see something in town, like we might start pre-staging some resources on this side, because if it gets here, we'd like the resources to be here. That might freak people out. So we're going to tell people, hey, these resources are coming here. That doesn't mean we're evacuating yet. I promise you, I will tell you when we're evacuating. You should have time. It's, people are like, well, I could do a 15-mile run, and it's a difference of doing a 15-mile run as a bowling ball down a straight hill, or a 15-mile run of a Volkswagen trying to go up Tioga Pass. It's got a lot of ground to cover, and it just depends on what moves it. So it could make a good run, but it's got some terrain to cover. We'll have some time, and obviously they realize that people live here, and we don't want to lose homes, and they will put resources on the fire, and they will fight the fire, but we need to be prepared. So that's where we are. We're not freaking out yet. I said, no, I'm not at my pucker point yet, so I know that's not appropriate.
I know. And I think, the issue is wind, right? We've got some wind coming up. I think starting maybe tonight, but for sure tomorrow and the next day, and that always, of course, is going to change the behavior of the fire. We've luckily had some forecasts for really big events with the fire in Santa Cruz and different fires that didn't actually end up panning out. So hopefully we'll be in the same place.
Yeah, so the wind will be a big factor in this, and the wind over the ridge tops could be really high, but that's not where the fire is. So we don't want to look at the Mammoth Patrol website and go, oh my God, they had an 80-mile-per-hour gust. Yeah, up there's no fire up there. So let's not freak ourselves out too bad.
So Ingrid, where, other than the Mono County site, the monocounty.ca.gov, there's a picture of a fire. If you click on that, you get to the fire page. Other than there, on Facebook, I know Supervisor Corliss has been posting things. Mono County has been posting things. And is there any other places that people should be going to get information?
So the Sierra National Forest on Facebook, which is where this fire is, they do regular updates on Facebook, and they actually do Facebook live meetings. There might be one tonight at 7. So that's a really good place to go and get firsthand information from the people working the fire, where it is and what's going on. So that's probably—
Don't let it, I was saying earlier though, don't let it freak you out if they say Mount Tom or Rock Creek. You have, I think, the Sierra National Forest.
Don't freak you out.
Raw firsthand information from the other side of the mountains.
Yeah.
They're wonderful.
They don't know our local terrain. So in this conversation we're having, the guy kept saying, so when it gets to Fish Lake, now Fish Lake's like way the hell over on the other side of the 6. Oh, Fish Valley. Nope, that's the same place. Fish Creek. They don't know all the names, so they might screw that. And there are a lot of, Bald Mountains and Mount Toms and Rock Creeks and lots of the same names.
Yeah.
Don't panic on that.
In one video, the fire manager said, well, and he's like, well, it could go here and then go over these, the Minaret range. And it's like, it's not going to go over, it just 12,000 foot peaks. And that still isn't Mammoth, right? That's still
right.
12, 13, 14 miles from Mammoth. And that would be really crazy if that happened. But so, these guys are fire experts, not Mammoth experts.
Yeah, they don't know our terrain. They don't know our topography.
And the Mammoth experts do have a really good plan in place for everyone. And
we do.
Something
we're
everybody
all working together. Everybody just tell you to evacuate. I'm not a person who panics, right? And I don't freak out. So if I tell you to get out. Just do it. And there will be people who say, no, I'm fine. Okay, well, that's when we take a picture and say, smile pretty for the camera so we can see what your teeth look like so that we can match them up with the dental records. It's kind of harsh, but gets the point across. So,
law enforcement and ER docs and nurses say things in ways that get to the point really quickly.
Yeah.
So we have 10 minutes left here on coping with COVID and anything else you might be coping with. If you're on Zoom, we have a Q&A. You can put your questions or comments in there. We're happy to interact with you. That's what we're here for. If you're on Facebook Live, you can also put something in the comment section and we will respond to that. If this is a community conversation, we will be back. We will, right here, this panel in 2 weeks. We come every 2 weeks at 5:30. We're here with you, and that will be October 30th. That's our next one. There's also a community meeting, another community meeting where I'm assuming they will also be talking about COVID and anything else that might be going on then, and that's on the 22nd.
No, that's the Creek Fire update again. On the
Oh, that's the next Creek Fire update. Sorry. Okay. And I've lost track of what is it, the 15th?
And then the
Oh,
community.
it's the 16th
conversation.
today.
Yeah. So next Tuesday is the another Creek Fire update, similar to the one from yesterday, and then the next community conversation around COVID will be Thursday, October 1st.
Okay.
Okay, so this is particular for one person who's watching who asked if you could please see Nilla. So here's Nilla. I was told that we need more Nilla on our community meetings. So here she is.
Absolutely. Did Nilla get a pumpkin donut?
No, because she's allergic to everything. She is actually allowed to have pumpkin, but she's not allowed to have the sugar and the butter and the eggs and the flour. So,
Poor thing.
I know, it's terrible. Look at her, she's so abused.
Robin, I do think that you may have said October 30th when I believe you're thinking that the next one would be September 30th.
September.
Although I can't be
I'm
sure
not doing
that
as
I'm
well
right
as I
anymore.
think I am.
What month I'm in. But no.
Thank you for keeping us oriented. I meant September 30th. Feels like October? I don't know. And are we having another time change? Is that happening? I thought we were done with those. We are.
Oh, right. That will be.
That really is sometime around October 30th.
Yes.
I think that's on
Sorry
Halloween
about
this
that.
year. Yeah,
September. But we really are. Okay.
but not for a while. We don't have to worry. And I mean, you know, the old adage, one day at a time, or, you know, different programs use that, like that. You do need to do that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, it's time change. Winter.
Oh my God, it's October already. There's where I was. It's like when you wake up and think, thank goodness it's Friday and it's only Tuesday. That's not good.
I did that yesterday. I thought I could have sworn it was Thursday, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it's confusing. It gets confusing. Routine matters, connection matters. So let's just really want to remind everyone out there that making connection is how we build resilience. So whether it's you text somebody or you make a plan or you call somebody or write them a letter or just meet with them on a Zoom or Facebook or whatever platform you use, making connection matters. If you know that someone's struggling out there, reaching out to them as much as you can, you don't have to know what to say, just say, hey, hi, I'm thinking about you. What's going on? That's perfectly fine. That's perfect, in fact. Just making sure that people are feeling connected with, because this is a harder time than we realize because we don't have the perspective to look backwards yet because we're in it all the time. And now we've got the fire on top of it. So it's even more to deal with. And all doing well enough. We're all still, most of my colleagues know what day it is and what month we're in. Those are the kinds of things you orient to. But, you know, we're still all spending a lot of energy every day just getting through the day. And so you might be feel unfocused. You might feel really tired. You might feel really amped. You might feel like it's really hard to keep the things that used to make you feel good, like watching a movie or whatever, it doesn't feel so good anymore. Those are all signs of stress. And I don't know if do we want to do a little breathing here at the end to send us on our way? Does that feel good?
Sure.
Feel good?
Can I add one more piece to it, Robin? I think it's very important for us to realize how intentional we now need to be to relate to each other and to socialize.
Yeah.
And it really does take energy, more energy than we're used to if we were walking down the street or if we were meeting someone, you know, or we decide to hang out, whatever. But it really takes a lot more intention. And I say that because I think a lot of times now we feel like, you know what, that's too much energy. It's not worth it, except that the result is worth it. The result, which every time you do socialize, you are putting in that, you know, you're depositing on the positive side of resilience, as I was saying earlier, right? You're putting in a deposit. But let us end, if you don't mind, with you guys with just allowing yourself for a moment. We know that mindfulness practices, in my opinion, at this point, are non-negotiable. So you'll know what I believe. because we all need a chance to allow our bodies and our minds to relax. So if you would let all the air out of your lungs for a moment and take a breath in through your nose, please, and hold it at the top of your breath, and then exhale, allowing all the air to go out of your lungs. And then find just a very natural rhythm to your breathing. You don't need to force it. Just allow yourself for a moment to just find a very natural rhythm to your breath. And be aware for a moment about that breath. Are you experiencing any sensations in your nose? Are you noticing any changes in, perhaps as you're breathing, in your chest or your ribs? Just sort of take a moment to notice just even the quality of your breath during this time where the air is so incredibly unhealthy. Many of us start to breathe even more shallow so that we can, for fear that somehow, the air may have some negative effect on us. But allowing yourself just to notice. Also allow yourself to realize that right now, wherever we are, we're safe. And if we stay in this moment for now, we get to allow ourselves to let go and let down, knowing that if new information comes in which we need to act, we'll be able to do that to provide our greatest amount of safety. But right now, for those of us that are together, we are safe. You're in your home. There isn't something coming towards you right now, and hopefully it won't be at all. Just allow yourself to be present in this moment. It's so very easy for us to project ourselves into the future during times like this, and then we scare the heck out of ourselves as a result. Now allow yourself to let all the air out of your lungs, please, as you take your breath in and letting all out. And take another breath in, please. And if you can this time, just allow yourself to let go of a lot of stress. And this time, just blowing it out through your mouth. Just let it go. Try another breath in, please. And again, even more forcefully. And open your eyes as we are going to have to end here, Robin.
Thank you, Beth Cohen.
Thank you for inviting me
Stacy
on.
Corliss, Stephanie, Cassandra, Justin, Ingrid, Olivia in the shadows back there helping us with our IT. Thank you to all of you for joining us, whether you're joining us right here in the moment or you listen to us later on. Please pass on to your friends. We'll be back here September 30th. It is a Wednesday. We're here at 5:30 with you, either on Zoom or Facebook Live through the Mono County Behavioral Health page. We're here for you. We're glad you're a part of our community. I always love this, you guys. Thank you. It's one of my best parts of my week, for sure, when I get to see you all.
Same here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you all.
Thank you. Have a good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Be safe.